Hello everyone, Darren from DrayTek Australia and New Zealand. In today's webinar, we'll look at the latest updates to the DrayTek Web Content filter, which is a firewall feature available in most DrayTek router products. We'll first look at what is meant by web content filtering, which is often abbreviated to WCF. Then we'll look at why we might need to use it and how it works. We'll then look at DrayTek's latest version of WCF called DrayTek URL Reputation, and we'll go through the configuration steps. Okay, let's start by looking at what is meant by web content filtering. Web content filtering is a term used to describe a process that manages or screens access to specific web pages. The goal is to block websites that contain potentially harmful information, such as pornography or drug use. It's often used by organisations and home users to control internet access through their firewalls. As illustrated in this diagram, the web content filter blocks undesirable web content based on the configuration in the router. It helps by filtering not just potentially dangerous or inappropriate content, but also content that can affect productivity in the workplace, such as social networking during work hours. So why use WCF? Here's some reasons why. The first is to protect from potential threats from the internet. That includes blocking websites containing viruses, malware, phishing, and zombies or bots, and so on. Next, as mentioned a moment ago, it can be used to increase productivity in the workplace by preventing access to time-wasting or unrelated sites for employees, such as social networking. It can also be used to protect children in the home environment by blocking access to adult material such as pornography, gambling sites, or drug use. Another one is to prevent downloading illegal material from the internet, and there are some good reasons to do that beyond just being a good internet citizen. Not only should you never trust content from those places, but another good reason is our final point, and that is to improve internet access speeds for a business by blocking downloads that consume a large amount of network bandwidth. That also can include streaming content such as YouTube and Netflix and so on, which can also fall under anti-productivity as well. Expanding on that, here are a few usage examples illustrating the use of web content filtering, starting with parental control. Here we have a screenshot of the router interface where we've selected to block all the categories under child protection. Once enabled, parents no longer need to worry about their children being exposed to these. Next, in the productivity and general use categories, we get more into the kind of content that an employer might want to restrict access to. This can be used with time scheduling, where, for example, access to these sites can be blocked during work hours, but permitted during lunch breaks or after hours. And here we see that. Parents might use this in much the same way by preventing access to social networking during homework time or when children should be in bed. You can also create IP groups in the firewall objects to create different levels of access for different users on the network, or exclude some users completely from it. Keeping in mind that if the PCs are allocated IP addresses using DHCP, you may want to enable strict IP to Mac or use VLANs to prevent users changing their IP addresses to get around the rules. If required, the network administrator can monitor content security activity on the network from the router syslogs as shown here. Pictured here is the syslog utility that you can download from our website and install on the PC that will be used to capture the syslogs. I'll leave a link below to our previous webinar where we went through various ways to capture them. Let's quickly have a look at the mechanism used by DrayTek routers when the web content filter is being used. So it all happens as follows. First, the router receives a HTTP request from a LAN client. Then the WCF engine built into the router checks its local cache for URL values. Typically, more than 99% of queries are locally resolved by the cache. Second, if that doesn't pan out, the router then sends a query to the WCF server to check the category of the URL. If the website category matches a WCF setting profile in the router to either block or permit, it sends that information back to the router to apply it to the relevant firewall filters. In this case, we have a rule to block Facebook. That fell under the social networking category, so the router blocked the LAN client from it. Now, where we run into a bit of a hiccup with WCF based on URLs and keywords is with HTTPS websites. HTTPS encrypts the data and makes it difficult for the router to read, which is where the DNS filter comes into play. By tracing the DNS queries sent by the LAN clients, the router can check which websites they're trying to access. I'll show you how to enable that a little later when we go through a configuration example. Now let's look at DrayTek URL Reputation. URL Reputation is the latest web content service used in DrayTek routers and is known as a threat intelligence service. It's available in the latest firmware for later model routers and replaces the older Siren web content filter. If you're currently running the older Siren Web Content filter, the existing license in the router will automatically migrate to the new service. You will need to install the latest firmware that supports URL Reputation. Note that an annual subscription is required to use it, however you can try it for 30 days to check it out and see if it's suitable before committing to buying it. URL Reputation offers the latest protection against online threats using cloud-based technology which updates its database every 5 minutes. This gives you real-time protection, keeping your network safe. This service adds an extra layer of security protection to LAN clients for their online activities. There are 82 categories in total, 10 of which are security focused, providing comprehensive and up-to-date protection to your network. Websites around the world are placed into those 82 categories, which can then be selected to be either blocked or permitted and be applied to required user groups. For example, children at home can be prevented from accessing adult sites, or employees in the workplace can be restricted from accessing unrelated social networking sites during work hours. As we can see in this screenshot, we have 4 main groups with subcategories in each group. The 4 groups are security, parental control, productivity, and general use. When we go through the configuration example shortly, you'll see how easy it is to set up. Let's take a quick look at the main differences between the older Siren Web Content filter and URL Reputation. For Siren, we had 64 categories that could be selected, but it didn't include any security-related categories. Those categories were placed into 6 groups: child protection, leisure, business, chatting, computer internet, and other. With URL Reputation, we have everything that was available under Siren, plus a whole lot more. There are now 82 categories under 4 groups, which includes a security group covering 10 security-related categories, such as hacking sites, malware sites, phishing, and so on. Here we have a summary of the main differences between the older Siren Web Content filter and the new URL Reputation. As we can see, URL Reputation covers many more categories, including those security-related categories. Plus, updates happen more frequently. Each site in URL Reputation is giving a ranking for its reputation with a trustworthy score out of 100. In the example shown here, our website, www.draytek.com.au, has a trustworthy score of 96 out of 100, which is quite high. Other information available is the web category associated with the website and its web reputation, which includes details such as the number of infections found, its popularity, and the age of the website. In addition, the WHOIS information is displayed, which lists additional information for the website. If you do decide to purchase a URL Reputation license key for your router, be aware that there are 3 license types to suit different model routers. These are Silver Card to suit high-end routers, A Card to suit dual WAN routers, and B Card to suit single WAN routers. As noted earlier, DrayTek routers come with a 30-day trial for URL Reputation that can be activated if you'd like to test it out to see if it suits your requirements. To activate it, the router must first be registered to your MyVigor account. To register the router, click on the product registration link in the menu. That will take you to MyVigor. After you log in, you'll see the details for the router already there, and you just need to give it a name to complete the process. Then go back to the router and click on the Service Activation Wizard. This will bring up a menu for service types you can activate after the router contacts the DrayTek server. Select the 30-day trial Web Content Filter option, tick the box to accept the agreement, then click Next. Click on Activate. You should now see URL Reputation has been activated for the 30-day trial. If you wish to keep using the URL Reputation after the trial, you'll need to purchase a license key to suit your router, then go to your MyVigor account. Select the applicable router, go to Service Status. On the WCF tab, click on Renew License, read the license agreement, and then click on Accept. Now enter the license key you purchased and click Next. Activation will take about a minute, and that's all there is to it. When the Web Content Filter license is activated, you should see the activated status in the Web Content Filter profile page in the router as shown here. Let's now look at a configuration example. We'll go through the configuration process to block social networking websites by using the URL Reputation Web Content Filter. This will involve setting up the DNS filter and the firewall filter to complete the setup. This is based on application note 5205 at the link shown here, which I'll include in the description below. To start, after logging into the router, go to the CSM Web Content Filter profile page. Now click on the next available index, which is 2 in our case. Number 1 is the default profile. Enter a profile name, we'll call this one Block Social. Enable it. For action, select Block. Then for the category, find Social Networking in the Productivity group. Then click OK to save. You'll see this message pop up. Just click on OK to continue. The next step is to create a DNS filter profile. This will help filter HTTPS websites since they're encrypted. To do this, go to the CSM DNS filter profile menu page and click on the first index. Again, give the profile a name. We'll run with Block Social again. Now select the web content filter profile we created earlier. Click OK to save. The final step is to configure the firewall filter, where we specify how we want the web content filter to be used. To do this, go to the Firewall Filter Setup menu, select Filter Set 1, which is the default data filter, then select Rule 2. Select Enable. Under Comments, give it a name. Set direction as LAN DMZ RT VPN WAN. Select Pass Immediately. For Web Content Filter Profiles, select the WCF created earlier. Then for DNS filter, select the profile created earlier for that. Now click OK to save. We can now test by trying to go to Facebook. And you should see a message pop up similar to this, showing that this site is now blocked. Okay, that's all for today. To summarise, we started by looking at what web content filtering WCF is, then we looked at some reasons why you might want to use it and how it works. We looked into more detail at the DrayTek Web Content filter known as URL Reputation and showed how to activate the 30-day trial and how to enter the license key if you do decide to purchase it. Finally, we went through a configuration example showing you how to use URL Reputation to block social networking websites. That's all for now, but please stay tuned. We'll be answering questions in the live chat on the right of your screen for the next 5 minutes. For more information about DrayTek products, please check out our website at www.draytek.com.au or send us an email to sales@draytek.com.au or give us a call on 02 9838 8899. Please like and subscribe below, and if you'd like a notification anytime we put up a new video, please select all from the subscribe drop-down menu as well. Thanks and bye for now.